Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Big Pop Theory podcast. We're doing something very, very different. Usually, right here on the YouTube channel, what we do is we do live prediction shows, live after show reviews. But this time around, it was like, hey, it would be really cool if we reviewed some old school wrestling content. And we decided to do that. It's been a while. We've been wanting to plan it for a long period of time. We just couldn't find the right time, the right schedules, all that lovely stuff. But we finally are doing it, and I'm excited to talk about it with two of my close friends, guys that I grew up with. I'm one of your hosts, the Great Grand Slam Poobah, aka Bad Guy Jack, and I'm joined with with Rich Kings. We've done some shows together, right? Some prediction shows, some live action. I'm talking about movies, live review shows, after shows. Those have been cool. So I'm glad that you're back on here with us. And we got EZ debuting here on the Big Pop Theory podcast. EZ,
Yes, sir.
hi, and welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Guys, I hit you guys up and I was like, hey man, it would be cool if we reviewed Invasion. That pay per view was in 2001. We were preteens at that time. I think our minds were a little different at the time when we watched the pay per view, and I was like, hey, why don't we review that? But let's watch it back because you get a different perspective when you watch it as an adult, right? Like
Mhm.
so, you guys watched it back. We're gonna break down the matches. I got some notes here, but we had this card that had 11 matches. Um, what did you guys think about rewatching this pay per view after many many years? I'll give you the floor first, Easy, and then Rich Kings, please take the floor. But Easy, what did you think about rewatching this pay per view?
Well, in the moment, we're like you said, we're preteens and we think it's incredible. WCW, ECW, WWE, or F at the time, was all collabing, and this is something big. This is like the biggest thing in wrestling. And then watching it 20 years later, I realized it sucked. It wasn't as the matches weren't that good. Maybe two of them, the Rob Van Dam and the Jeff, and then the last match. But it didn't live up to what I thought it was when I was, like you said, a preteen. It just, it didn't make sense. Some of the matches didn't make sense. There was no storyline outside of the whole, invasion thing. The last match. So it was real. From what I remember, there wasn't no real built up, story like with some of the maybe the referee match had a little quick storyline, but the other ones I don't know if it was too much of a storyline with all the other matches. I could be wrong though.
Well, that's the beauty of having a conversation because this might be able we might be able to put some pieces that you might have forgotten or some of the pieces missing. Rich Kings, what did you think about rewatching this pay per view?
Yeah, I think easy hit on the head. I think that it wasn't as I don't know if I at the time I thought it was great. I thought it was okay. Watching it back I was like, oh, it was actually a little bit worse than okay. Like you said, there's only two really good matches that stood out to me as well. The
Yeah,
storyline, the build, I think was more like when I think about by back then, the build was more of like the McMahon's. I felt like Shane getting WCW, Stephanie gets ECW, yeah, and then you saw that with the build up leading up to the final match, right? You saw in that little preview clip, it was really all about the McMahons, and then the other people were afterthoughts. It was the McMahons in Austin, right? So it was centered around them. So that's I think one of the reasons why like maybe some of the matches weren't as quality, and maybe the people we saw was like, well, where's this person at? Why is that person missing? We're about to get into, but I think for what the people that they had, they did okay. It wasn't the greatest, but we'll get into that in a few moments.
Yeah.
I look forward to having this conversation with you guys. I mean, if I could pull back the curtain a little bit, um, so we're recording this, but we had a phone conversation, all three of us, and we were just talking about how in a way like what we could have done, what could have been better for Invasion, and if you had the book and all these people are at your you could just pick all these people, what would this card look like, or what was your final, what was it, your 5-on-5 would look like? For me, watching this back, yeah, there was a lot of things about this card where I was just like, I kind of rolled my eyes at it. When we were thinking about what would it this cross promotion, WCW versus WWF, what would it look like? And I can tell you right now, one of the things that would not be on the card is the referee versus referee. There was no need for that. The what was it? The Braun Panty match where it was Lita and Trish against Tori and Stacy. We'll get to these matches, but I was looking at some of these matches. I was like, this is not what we wanted, and I understand that they they could only do what they were given. Like they can only work with the talent that was presented to them. But there was a lot of stuff where I said, what are we doing here? You know.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, I thought the Earl Hebner Nick Patrick match was actually creative. The referee match was something that was creative. I think the other matches, like the X Pac versus Billy Kidman, like you can correct me,
Wait,
but
this
I
is
don't.
hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
yes.
Oh, I didn't hear. Were you talking to one of us?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
talking to both of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the line cut out. I really didn't hear anything.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. You good? Oh well, Justin, can you hear him? Oh, Rich Kings.
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, like I said that the Earl Hebner Nick Patrick match was creative. That referee versus referee match was, it was funny. It was, what I mean, it was humorous. But
Sure.
the Billy Kidman X Pac, the APA, and the what was it, Chuck versus Chuck Palumbo.
Charlotte.
Was there a storyline built up to get to those matches?
I don't think it was built as strong enough to be on the card, but there was a little
Exactly.
something there.
Okay.
Yeah, but just not as strong. But the Billy Kidman and X Pac match, that was honestly one of the matches that I actually really did enjoy. I felt like when I look at the first, I want to say it was the first two matches, and I think they were like the third. I
Mhm.
thought right there, that's when I was like, okay, now we're getting some match quality here, because the first two matches for me didn't do it. And mind you, Edge and Christian going against Lance Storm and Mike Awesome, that should be a good match because I think Lance Storm, yeah, Lance Storm is fantastic. I'm a kind of a fan of his stuff. I was definitely a fan of his stuff in WCW. I can't comment on the ECW stuff because I wasn't an ECW kid growing up. But the
Right.
stuff in WCW at the end, the cruiserweight champion, the hardcore champion, the United States champion, you saw him three titles at once. As a matter of fact, there was a period where he won against Booker T, and I was down for him to win the heavyweight championship. I was
Mhm.
like, that would look dope. But we're gonna talk about it. But let me just sit here and say this real quick here. We're giving up some early thoughts, and that's how usually the episodes. I like that because that's when the juices are starting to flow a little bit. But here we go. We got Invasion. It was in Cleveland, Ohio. This event was held July 22nd, 2001, and the arena is called the Gun Arena. I want to say it's out there in Ohio, so someone can correct me about this, please, because my pronunciation is terrible. The very first match here, it wasn't even on. You would have had to watch Heat, but it was Chavo Guerrero. He went against Sky Tuhati. Chavo Guerrero defeats Sky Tuhati in 6 minutes and 43 seconds. But let's talk about the opening match here. It's Edge and Christian representing Team WWF, in case you didn't know, going against Lance Storm and Mike Awesome representing ECW. It was a tag team match. They gave these guys 10 minutes and 10 seconds. Rich Kings, I want you to take the floor here first. What did you think about this opening match?
Yeah, so I think the opening match which wasn't as good as I think it should have been based with the time that was inside the ring, right? And I think
That's
that
fair.
this was the time where Edge was coming to his own. He just won King of the Ring. It was like a different feel for Edge and Christian. Like it was the beginning and the end for them. So you kind of see that a little bit in the match, but I thought the match was a little bit sloppy, especially like, obviously we'll get into the ending, but the ending was just so like uh, he hits him with this bop spare and it just looked so bad and that actually won the match. But there was like it just didn't feel like a good tag team match, so to speak, right? So starting off the show, it was very lackluster. I just wasn't. It didn't make you want to get interested and set the tone for Invasion. So I just personally felt the match was a big letdown, and I think that match could have been on Heat, transparently.
Yeah.
No, if I could, no, matter of fact, I'm sorry, Easy, please take the floor. What did you think about this? I'm so sorry.
I think Edge and Christian did win that match, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the outcome was expected. Um, I think that like Justin hit the nail on the head. Just it felt like it could have been a Raw, could have been a Raw card, it could have been a SmackDown card or
Yeah.
Nitro, whatever. It didn't feel like a pay-per-view card, and unless they turned it into a, maybe like a add some chair shots or something exciting. But it wasn't. It was an okay in ring match. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
think Lance Storm and Mike Awesome are like, compared to Edge and Christian, they're just so much more physical, physical specimens. So it was kind of like light heavyweights or middle class heavyweights, cruiserweights versus heavyweights. These dudes are like 6'3", 6'4" almost, or like maybe like 5'11" or whatever. But they're big guys, they're bulky guys, and they're fighting Edge and Christian. You know what I mean? It just didn't seem like it fit the bill. It just didn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? So
Okay. So what I got out of this match is, if this match was going to be on the card, it shouldn't have not opened up the card. I do think that if you really wanted to have a hot open, because I do agree with what Rich Kings was saying about, like, when you have a show and you open it, you want it to be hot. You want it to be his. It's like it sets the tone to be like, yo, this shit's about to be a banger and whatnot,
yeah,
right? And I know that was not a thing that kids were saying back when we were kids. But like, I would have opened up this show with Billy Kim and X, yeah, Billy Kim and X Pac. I think that would have been, especially if you give him a little bit more time. But to just dissect this match here, there was really nothing wrong with this match. It was basic. It was nothing like it was nothing that get me hype about later in the show. It was like, okay, that was calm, but like I want to be like WCW. One of the smartest things WCW ever did is when they would open up a show, they would start with the cruiserweights because they knew that the crowd was going to get worked up about that. Like your adrenaline was going to be up there and everything like that. I feel like my adrenaline was calm in this match.
yeah.
I like Lance Storm. It's sad that it didn't really work out for him in WWE. I think he would have been someone really great in that mid card division. Um, but yeah,
But
this match. Please
just
take the floor. Yeah.
just add something. It kind of like I was watching something what Taker said earlier, why a lot of WCW guys didn't work out. It kind of shows how you know how lackluster WCW superstars were outside of like some of the heavyweights, some of the big names. Because Edge and Christian is they were household name in WWE, WWF, and then you got Lance Storm and this other guy Mike Awesome, and they come over and they wrestle Edge and Christian, and it's like it didn't to me, the names, Edgy Christian's here, these guys are here, and it just showed, the companies how big, how the superstars in each company, how it just the levels wasn't there, it didn't match some of the
I think
talent.
I think for some people who came from WCW and they went to WWE, they didn't adapt well to the WWE style of things. And I look at people like Booker T, who did very well. Um, it's hard for me to say, like, because I'm saying, does Rey Mysterio really count? Only because he wasn't a part of that invasion, but I still sit here and think about, like, well, I feel like we all known him as the WCW guy when he came over, what, the year after, right? But I do think a lot of it for a lot of the WCW guys, they just didn't adapt very well to the WWE style and the way and stuff like that. And I think someone like Lance Storm was someone like that who is not the most charismatic individual in the world, but his in ring work he makes up for his, with his in ring work, and I think he would have still been great in that Intercontinental Championship division. Personally,
Mm,
because not everyone's going to be over. Not everyone's going to have the most charismatic gimmick, but they can make up for their in ring stuff. At least I've
true.
always felt that way, especially as I've gotten older. But do you
Yeah.
have any takeaways about this, Rich Kings? Was there any adding piece before we go to the next match?
No, I'll just say the Edge of Chris is just like I think he's a tag team. So you have, and we're going to get to the other tag team match later on with in ring awareness and things of that nature. But their season tag team going just almost a makeshift team at that point, right? So it's not as going to be as crisp as we want it to be. So I do think that that's part of it, and I think the main reason why they got Mike Awesome in there because he was up and coming, right? So he should be on TV at that aspect. But at the time, the match just didn't make sense.
I think they got Mike Awesome in there because he was. I don't want to say he was the face of ECW. I don't want to say that. We were actually having a conversation about this off air about who do you think is the face of ECW and all that stuff, right? But Mike Awesome was kind of a big deal in ECW. He was a stud in ECW, and he went to WCW, and I don't think it ever panned out for him. But I think they wanted to get him on him because he had a good look. I mean, he wasn't as big as and he was big in ECW, right? Big meaning like probably the biggest guy there. But then he gets in the ring with Kevin Nash, and you realize like, oh, he's not
But
that.
the thing with ECW is it wasn't really the superstars. It was more the matches that people were excited about. You know, the Inferno matches and all the crazy, dangerous matches. I think it wasn't really they wasn't superstar heavy. They were just more like we want to see somebody get thrown and
they wanted
explode.
they wanted blood.
Yeah, they
They
wanted
wanted
blood
blood.
and they wanted glass and barbed wire. It was more you could put me and you in that shit and it would have been exciting. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Because it was just the matches were exciting. It just I don't know if the superstars were. That's
I
probably
think they
what.
were. I think they were because that ECW crowd, they liked what they liked.
Hmm.
So they really did like these people. Um, I'm sorry, I can't even find the vernacular on how to explain this, but I do think that crowd really loved those guys. Like they loved them. They loved them. Their love for them was different than someone who was a WWF fan. I
Right.
think so. Let's get into the. This was the second match here. And honestly, they kept this short and sweet. But we have Earl Hebner, and he went against Nick Patrick. And this match went 2 minutes and 50 seconds. You said that you had some thoughts about this. I'm gonna give you the floor first here, easy. But
Yeah, I
please,
think that match was very humorous. It was creative. It was a cute match. Like it was something that it was like a little gimmick match, but it was cool. I liked it. I think the referees, they took a lot of bumps and hits, man. It was impressive. I mean, I was impressed with, Earl Hebner and how he was able to take some hits and get hit out the ring or whatever. It was just cool. I liked it. Those guys, we don't get to see those guys in action at all, except for, sometimes catching a chair shot or a stunner or something. But to see them in a full match, I thought it was creative and impressive. I liked it.
that's a different take from this. 'Cause my take is totally different from it. But Rich Kings, I want you to take the floor here. What do you? Well, I can't wait to hear what Rich Kings got. Rich Kings, what you think of this match?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different take that Easy has. My take was like this was a waste of time. It just I understand. I like they even got a preview. Like, what are we doing? Um,
Hmm.
it didn't make any sense to me. I mean, I felt like their interest took longer than the match. I think the highlight of the match was Mick Foley because to me that I mean I the
Mhm.
how can I put it? It was what it was, right? Showing
Sure.
unity for your company. It was good. It was good for what it was. But looking back at it, it's alliance, right? It's ECW and WCW. Where was the ECW ref? Do we even know what an ECW ref even looks like? So
Stop
they weren't
it,
even
Did they
represented.
have one?
bro! Stop it.
There was no ECW ref. Where were they? They weren't available. Like, what's going on? So it was just a little weird to see no representation from ECW.
Yo, nah, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna. No one is sitting there. You're the only person that I've ever heard say, "Hey, and by the way, where's the ECW rep?" I don't know why that is hilarious to me because no one even. Listen, I'm with you though because there really was no need for this match. I think when we're talking about WCW, I'm sorry because I know that ECW is involved, but it was really WWF against WCW. I don't think any of us were like, "Yo, what would that ref look like in a match against that ref?" Like that was just not needed, bro. Like, look, I think these guys did what they needed to do. I don't think they embarrassed themselves, but this was just not a match. Like, once again, I think if I can use this card here, this could have been a match on Heat. Like,
No.
what do you mean no, bro?
The
Like,
fans loved it, and in real time, they loved it.
yo, wait. Now, Rich King's got to take the floor because, see, this is how our conversations are, but it
Mhm.
reminds me of when we were kids. But please, Rich King, because Rich King looked like he just looked at the heavens like, when?
So I mean, I think I'm a little biased. I personally don't care for it, but I do think there were fans of Earl Hebner and Dan Patrick, right? So when you think about Earl Hebner and that time, like he was in some feuds with Triple H, remember the pushing,
Yeah,
the shoving, the
he
pushing the
was. He
wall stuff.
was.
He was. If we knew a referee's name, we know who Earl
We
Hebner is,
knew.
right?
We
So
did
I
know
mean,
who
he
Earl
went
Hebner
on
was.
to TNA and stuff like that. So good for him. But like and we knew who Dan Patrick was. So it's. I hear what Easy is saying, like these are the no refs that give them a little bit of shine, but they
Yeah,
got enough of what they got. It was 2 minutes, justified. Let's move on.
right. Just kind of to like go a little left field here. If this was NBA All Star game and referees had like a 5-on-5, it would be fun and cute. Like it was just something for like to just add a little filler. You know what I mean?
I know what you're
It
saying.
was
It's
cool.
different.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
different.
and and I like your mindset on it, on expressing what, because like I don't look at it that way, but I love that you was like, but hey, this was an attraction. This was
Yeah,
something to just be a little silly and stuff like that.
exactly.
Like this was, no one's gonna sit here and say, hey, that no one's gonna look back at this match and sit here and say like, hey, I hope they run it back. So I can understand that. Okay. Um, Okay, let me get to the next match. I'm sorry, give me a second. My phone shut down. The next match, it was the APA Brasher and Farouk going against Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire. So it was the WWF Tag Team Champions against the WCW Tag Team Champions. This match went 6 minutes and 48 seconds. I didn't realize it was so short. Like, it's funny watching it back. I think as a kid, you don't realize the time so much, but then as an adult and you watch, and then they break down the times, you're like, wow, they really didn't give them a whole lot of time. If I could say about Chuck O'Hare, I'm sorry, Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Hare. Sean O'Hare always had like an interesting look to me. It was kind of sad that it didn't work out for him in WWE. He was
Mhm.
really big, agile. I mean, I just felt like he had a lot of. I mean, I don't know if he was a great talker. I don't think he's going to be in that category of like Rock and Roddy Piper and all these people. But it was always just something interesting about Sean O'Hare for me. Um, and Chuck Palumbo, I mean, he had a little bit of a run. I mean, really, his success really kicked in when the Billy and Chuck, that stuff really helped him out a lot. And after that, I just felt like it was never the same for him. Uh, I don't think this match was one sided, but it felt one sided. It felt like APA just beat the hell out of these kids.
Yeah,
Did anybody else feel that way, or is that just me? It just seemed so one sided.
yeah. It seemed like a WCW. It was felt like a burial for those two, Palumbo and O'Hara. I don't think that. I know the APA. Brasher and Farouk. But I felt like WCW's tag team champions should have had a little bit more. Um, they should have showed a little bit more of their talent more in this match, and it kind of they buried them too fast. You know what I mean?
I don't, but so my not necessarily counter, but if I could just piggyback on what you're saying it would have been cool to see more from Sean O'Hare and Chuck Palumbo, but I don't think they were given that chance. Honestly, I
Yeah,
think so. I feel like once WWF won the war and WCW went over there, they had to play ball by WWF rules and stuff like
yeah,
that. So they're not going to get the same. Uh, I don't feel like they're going to get the same opportunity. And I think this was a really great young team. How far could they have gone? I can't tell you that, but I'm just saying there was potential there.
hmm
If I do say so myself. But Rich King, what did you think about this tag team match? The WWF Tag Team Champions APA going against WCW Tag Team Champs Sean O'Hare and Chuck Palumbo.
Well, first and foremost, I think that reason why it was such a clubbing or it was dismissive. When you think about WCW's tag teams that they had besides Sean Hair and Chuck Palumbo, there was Chronic, and me and Easy was talking about this. They were like, where were you gonna go? Like, what do you have? And when you think about the tag teams WWF had, it was quality tag teams. They could have went any direction. It could have been an Edge and Christian. It could have been a Hardy Boys. You could have had the Dudley Boys versus the APA, but then it's like, okay, we already saw that already, right? I think
right,
they actually got these matches kind of messed up. I think it could have
right.
been APA versus Lance Storm and Mike Awesome would have been a better quality match, and Edge and
That's a good
Christian
point. Yeah,
versus Chronic. I
Ooh.
mean, not Chronic. Sean O'Haire and Chuck Palumbo would have
Ooh.
been better because those are two
Ooh.
natural tag teams versus two natural tag teams. Even
that
though
makes
AP
sense.
is a tag team, they're brawlers, right? They just love to fight. And I think when you look at the muscles and what was potential, I do think APA versus Lance Storm and Mike Austin would have been a better opener match. And I think Edge and Christian could have put a better showing against Sean O'Haire and Chuck Palumbo. Because of the veteran status, because of the tag team, because of the chemistry they have, it would have been better. Now, what I would say, it looked kind of sloppy towards the end where I mean, Farouk gives him the spine buster, and then there's a tag, and then there's a maybe a 10-second fallout, and then all of a sudden it's
Hmm
a close up from hell. I'm like, what was
Yeah,
that? It was just so out of nowhere. And then it's like almost an in ring awareness. The guy could have put his leg on the rope, and it was he
yeah,
just gave up. He just gave up. It was just bad. So I just personally think that they just did a bad job booking that match in general, and it made them look bad. I just think they got the teams all mixed up there.
yeah. That's a
I,
great
I,
point.
Yeah, I actually like that point a lot when you was talking about like maybe just switch this team for this team and stuff. I do like that idea a lot. Um, I still think APA would have went over though.
I mean,
Um,
what
mhm.
even better match card? Do you think APA versus maybe Buff Bagwell and Scott Steiner would have been a little bit more equal?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
I think it would have been better. But this is the thing: when if we were to talk about WWF tag teams at the time, we're going down a list before we get down to APA personally, right?
Hmm.
Like, and I think that's part of the problem there. So if we're trying to match who can they really go toe to toe with having the match, and I think that's part of the problem. I mean, APA they're clubbers, so maybe the Steiner Brothers would have been great. I do think Buff Bagwell and Scott Steiner could have been. It was going to be better than this, and I think potentially Chronic would have been better for the APA than what we saw.
I was going to say that. I was going to say I think that would have been the better pairing, if you will.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think Chronic would have been the best one because I'm trying to think about that WCW tag team. And like I'll be honest, like I can't, and especially I'm talking about that time. I'm not because like you said, the Steiner brothers. You could say Harlem Heat. There's like a bunch of other teams you can think of, but these are like teams uh, years before WCW was bought out by WWF. But yeah, no, this match is it was there. Uh, this match here, I mean, my only thing is I wish they gave him a little bit more time. I think another. So they went 7 minutes, 7 minutes and 7 seconds. I think another 3 minutes would have been really, really. I don't know. I would have given. I'm being biased here, so if I could just be blunt here, I would have given him another 3 minutes, but maybe even four. But Billy Kidman, the cruiserweight champion, going against X Pac, who was the WWF light heavyweight champion. Let me guys ask you. I don't know. I'm so the cruiserweight championship. I think a lot of people will go like, man, that was such a legendary championship, right?
Hmm.
Does does anyone feel like the light heavyweight championship was even remotely close to that level to the cruiserweight?
Maybe the no. I would have probably thought what the Intercontinental or the European, maybe.
Yeah, the thing with the light heavyweights is,
Mhm.
I think WCW specialized in that. That was something that was good for them. And I think when we started watching WWF at the time, we had the SA Rioses and like at that point, I don't think and I think me and you Easy were having this conversation. When I see X Pac, I don't think light heavyweight champion. I just don't. Like I did not see that. Like even though because yeah, he might be a smaller guy, but I'm not like what is he doing for me? It's like Gilbert. What are you doing for me? That did nothing. And the cruiserweight, we think about high flyers, we think of somebody agile, we think of somebody smaller, we think about like a fast paced environment or a fast paced match. And not saying that Asphalt can't do that, but that's not something that's around his realm. And I think that I agree with you. I think this might have been the third best match of the card. I think Billy Kimmon did a good job with X Pac. There was so many different moves in this match. Like honestly, like I knew who won the match because I remember from way back when. But when he hit the X Factor off the top rope, like wow, how did that not win, right? Or when he
Hmm.
That was wild. Yes, 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 yes. I'm so sorry. Like that did throw me off a little bit because I was like, "Isn't that his finisher?" And he hit a super finisher. And look, I don't mind that people kick out of finishers, but like, I think it depends on who you are. And I was rooting for Billy Kidman.
Right.
Billy Kidman. When I think about now, granted, would he been someone I would have had representing the cruiserweight division? He would have been one of my picks. I mean, everyone knows my main pick would have been one Juventud Guerrero. But like even then, if you say Rey Mysterio, that's not a bad pick. I feel like there was a great lineup of people who could have represented that WWE Cruiserweight Championship. But these guys really had a really fun match. Like I watched it back and I was just like, I remember even as a kid, like I remember I was like, okay, like see, this is what I was looking for, like this kind of match quality, because these guys really went out there and they kicked ass. Matter of fact, you was talking about the X Factor. I always laugh because Billy Kidman, I don't think I've ever seen this dude ever get powerbomb. I don't think it's possible. Anytime someone go for a powerbomb, he's hit him with an X Factor. I've never seen this dude get powerbombed, and I just think it's amazing to me. I thought these guys went out there and they had this kick ass match, and it was just so much fun. Like when I watched it, I was like even now, I smiled. I was like, this just the kind of wrestling I look forward to. So um, I
Yeah,
liked how they were trying to say Michael Cole. Michael Cole on we didn't even get to say this, but on Cole it was Jim Ross and Michael Cole. I do want to ask. I'll give you the floor next, easy. But I know like Rich King. Sometimes we talk about commentators and the pairing and the chemistry and stuff like that. But how did you feel about Michael Cole and Jr. on Call together?
I mean, I think it was great. I think they had good chemistry, bounced off each other. You know, JR's a legend. You know, I think at that time, Michael Cole was. I don't know if he was up and coming as a commentator at that time.
I want to say he was. I mean, he was with the company for a few years before that, but I think he was doing backstage stuff,
Yeah, backstage
and then
stuff.
he was
Yeah,
doing. And eventually he took over for SmackDown. I forget what year. Where eventually it was like we see him a lot, but like yeah,
yeah,
no, Jim Ross was a legend in the game at that point. So, and
yeah.
still is. I mean, he's still doing it. Shout out to him. He's still doing the damn thing. But
I think it would have been nice to have maybe a WCW commentator there. You know, like one
yeah,
of the OGs. You know what I mean?
no, and I think that's a fair point because I mean, something about earlier in some of Rich King's when he was saying this, even though it was like it was just funny to me, that's why I laughed. But like the representation, like for WCW on the mic, and same, we were talking about the ref. What was the ECW refs? Like
Yeah,
like representation did matter, and yeah, they did drop the ball not having someone because they had when they were having those WCW moments on. You remember like on Raw when they had Booker T against Buff Bagwell, and on SmackDown they had Billy Kidman against Shane Helms, and they had I forget what this gentleman's name was, but I think it was Arn Anderson and it was another guy, Scott Hudson, I think his name was, and like I don't know what happened. Eventually, you just didn't see them anymore or see these guys anymore. So it would have been nice if we had some WCW commentary. But Rich Kings, what did you think about the pairing of, I'm sorry, Jim Ross and Michael Cole?
No, I think it was pretty good. I think they had good energy. Like I think that Jim Ross is one of those commentators that you could pair him with almost anybody and it'll be good. And the same thing with Michael Cole. I mean, we've seen it over the years how Michael Cole you could just pair him with anybody, it's just magic, right? I think one of my favorite things that he said in the Invasion was when Charles Robinson got the last ride, and Mike Yoder was scooping him out the ring. He said he's throwing that WCW trash out the ring. I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
that was great. It was like Michael Cole does have some moments where you're just like, yeah, this guy is he's great. But yeah, I think it was a good pairing for what it was. I understand why somebody would want the WCW announcers, but I was never a big fan of the WCW announcers. Even in like, I just was never a big fan of them. So I was fine without them. Maybe they could
yeah.
have opened the show.
They could have opened the show. I think it would have been cool to have someone like if they could have got like Tony Schiavone, um, Mike Today. If like these people obviously they didn't want to do it, but I think it would have been so cool because like okay, so I thought it was cool because I didn't realize this like the first time watching it, but watching it back obviously years later, and you're listening to the commentary team, and they're saying stuff like I forget who it was between JR and Michael Cole, so forgive me for that. But like when RVD came out, he's like, yeah, he held the ECW television championship for this amount of days. I was like, well, someone's been doing their homework. That's dope. But I'd rather hear that from Joey Styles or if someone's talking about something with WCW and Tony Schiavone or Mike Today, and Mike Today's breaking down these things. I would have liked that. I know that's just, it's not necessarily needed, but it would have been a nice little touch, to have someone who was in the same brand as this wrestler.
Right.
But
But
I think, but also think about it this time. We're having an invasion, but the chemistry matters, right? So maybe they didn't want people stepping on each other.
and that's fair. No, that's fair. That's fair. I don't think I can argue with that at all. Um, God darn it, man. Rich King's with the good points. You'll be having a good time. Rich King find a way to be like, yeah, but let me tell you this, and you'd be like, that's a damn good point. Damn good
Yeah.
point.
Good. He's kind of making too many good points. I think he's using AI or something. He's slow, slow way. He's killing me on this shit right now.
Mucho inteligente. Take some lessons.
But yeah, real quick, I wanted to add. I think Jeff Hardy would have been a better opponent for Billy Kidman than
I would
X
have
Pac.
been, I would have been into that. I don't know if it would have necessary because here's my thing: if we take Jeff Hardy out of this match, then he's not having that match with RVD, and I look forward to talking about that match with RVD. So
Mm.
I would have been interested in them competing, but just not on this card. Um,
Well, this was the perfect card for it. You know what I mean?
I feel you. I feel you. I mean, Rich Kings. I'm sorry. That's something to like. Might have been.
Because, like you said, RVD was up and coming at that time, right? Was he not?
I wouldn't even say he was up and coming. I just don't think like if you didn't watch ECW, he was up and coming. But
Well,
for
yeah, for
there's a lot. There's a
WWF fans, but we knew
yeah, but
Billy Kidman as WWF fans more
not a lot of
than
people. Not a lot of people. No, I don't think a lot of people knew who Billy Kidman was. I think I can't tell you what a ratio. If you're telling me like, hey, more people knew RVD over Kidman. Kidman knew. I can't tell you that ratio. All
yeah.
I know is like when I was watching, I knew who Billy Kidman was, and I was hyped because I
Yeah.
was like, yo, like
I
I
think
know
that the average wrestling fan knew more Billy Kidman than RVD at that time.
you think so.
I
Well,
think
I would
so.
have to agree because the thing is with Billy Kidman, like he had the jeans, he was
Yeah,
flashy. He was a cruiserweight in WCW, right? So, like to your point, cruiserweights kind of opened the show in WCW. So, as we were growing up, we watched as much TV as we could. So we saw him. I never turned on the channel for ECW. I didn't know what to look for with ECW. I think the first time I knew what ECW was is because of Easy, because he had the video game, right, on the Nintendo 64. I had no idea. Somebody had the video games. One of y'all had the video game. Like, I did not know what ECW even was.
right. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, no one knew. No, we knew Taz. We knew a few superstars, but we knew the matches. Like we wanted people to get caught on fire, but thrown through glass. Like so, I think Billy Kidman. If you're just a WWE guy and you hear about WCW, you heard about Billy Kidman. You know what I mean? So
Interesting. All right. I don't know if I got everyone's thoughts here, but did everyone give their thoughts about the Billy Kidman X Pac match? I'm sorry, everyone did. Okay.
yeah, I think so.
Uh, the next match here, I'm gonna give one of you guys the floor here because I just don't feel like this match was needed. Raven, he went against William Regal. It was a singles match. It was 6 minutes and 35 seconds. I mean,
That
like, yeah. Please take the floor.
that goes to show, like I said, that the star power it just didn't make sense. Just I think, sorry, Rich King said this before. Like some of these matches just didn't make sense. Why would Raven be wrestling William Regal? Like they don't even have the same style. They don't even have the same like Raven was ECW. He was ECW, right? I believe, and I think he was like a kind of like a hardcore guy a lot, right? Like he had like a psychological, you know, in ring approach. Like he's like William Regal did do a little cheat stuff too, but Raven just his gimmick, you know, it would have made more sense for him to probably fight somebody like a maybe like a
A
this makes
hardcore
Gangrel.
Holly.
I don't know. Yeah,
A
Hardcore
hardcore
Holly
Holly.
or yeah, exactly. You know, so I don't know.
Hardcore. Well, Hardcore Holly, he couldn't be an opponent because he was too busy being at WWF New York and fighting a fan who had
Yeah,
a
yeah,
WCW
that
show.
was funny.
I thought that was hilarious. I was like, what are the chances? Like, he's signing these autographs. He sees WCW. This ain't WCW New York boy, and he beat the hell out of that guy. What? I
But
was like,
this is what I'll say. Obviously, William Regal defected, right, and went to the other side, right. But
sure.
this is what I would have said. That's what I would say with that. Hardcore Holly is WWF. Raven is ECW. They have that kind of flow for the match, as Easy was saying. Like if you're really trying to get some excitement, like get a Steve Blackman, get it to Jerry with it, like something else.
Honestly, out of everyone, I like more Steve Blackman on this. But I think by then he was making his exit because was he around? Like he was around in '01, but remember there was like a time where we just didn't see him anymore.
Yeah, he
Hmm.
just disappeared. I mean, we're gonna go down to Al Snow. You want to go down to Test? Like, who can you get? I can name so many people before I go to William Regal for that type of style,
Yeah,
and then for
exactly.
William Regal to get attacked by Taz, and so that's the deciding factor. Like, come on, like that did not.
I
Yeah,
don't, and not for nothing. Like it's not the styles that don't bother me that he had a different style from Raven. It's just this match didn't need to be on the card.
yeah,
Like I
definitely.
feel like
Yeah,
this was a match. I felt like this was a match that would have been fine on an episode of Raw, maybe even Heat. But
I don't even want to see it on Raw. It doesn't belong.
I, my
yeah,
point, and that's fair. But my point is, did it need to be on the card? And I don't think this match needed to be on the
No, I
card.
didn't.
Like it just it's like look,
See,
just some of the Rich King said. I'm sorry, and I'll give you the floor. I promise you. Um, Rich King said earlier, and it was funny. It wasn't even meant to really be that funny, but it was funny. So he was talking about in the ref match, they had a preview. This match didn't even have that. Did this match have it? To my just to be okay, it didn't. Like this
no,
match was not needed really on the card. Like I don't think there was anything wrong with the match. It's just this was not a match that had to be on the card. Is what I'm
yeah.
thinking.
So this is the type of matches that help me kind of learn about ECW. Like if I'm watching WWF at the time and this came on, I'm flipping the channel. Like let's put on ECW, see who's fighting, and then I see people jumping off turnbuckles into glass tables, and it's like, oh, ECW is
Like,
kind of fun. You know what I'm saying? So like this was a match. You turn the channel, like you get up and you change the channel. You're not watching it unless you're like in the arena. You have to watch it. You know what I mean? Or
yeah, and then
you
you
go
have
get a snack or something. Nobody cares about this match.
That's a bathroom break match.
yeah. This match was not like a much a must watch kind of thing. Honestly, just really wasn't.
Yeah,
At
William
all.
Regal's character was so I hated his character anyway.
Really, I loved William Regal. I still do. Like William Regal's hilarious. You didn't like him? You didn't
No,
like
he
his
was
stuff?
boring. His gimmick was boring. It wasn't entertaining at all.
Really, really. I was thoroughly entertained by one William Regal. You was not a fan.
Nah,
Okay.
Bunk the Clown was much better.
No, what? Just random. Like not even the same people.
No, I know. I'm just saying, someone like he had a much better gimmick, and he was one of the worst gimmicks ever.
Uh, did everyone give their thoughts before we move to the next match? Just to be sure. I'm sorry, I gotta look at the camera. Did we all give our thoughts about this?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Um, all right. So talk about this. This is another match that really didn't need to be on the card. I think when I see matches and it's like, like this match, Ravens match was 6 minutes and 35 seconds, and then we have this match that's literally 4:20. We have Chris Canyon, Hugh Morris, and Sean Stasiak. Now, I don't know if this was dubbed because I don't remember what the actual theme was when they came out, like more than many years ago. But I said, "Is that Mr. Perfect's theme?" It was Mr. Perfect's theme that they came out to.
Really?
And it-
I missed
yeah,
that. Yeah, I think you're right.
hmm
You're right.
but I
What
don't know
was?
if that was. I don't know if that was because sometimes they dub songs if they
Mm,
don't have the copyright or whatever. So I don't know if that was the thing
uh,
that they came out. Like originally, that's what they came out to. But then they
I
take
want
on
to
the
say they
team.
came out to Sean Stasiak's theme before that because he was like the leader of that group. So it was
Okay,
not it was not Mr. Perfect's theme.
okay. And they take on the team of Albert, Big Show, and Billy Gunn. I'm sorry, the one Billy Gunn. I'm sorry, just yeah.
mm.
No, Rich Cage gotta take the floor first. Nah, bro, gotta take the floor first after shaking his head like that. Go ahead. Didn't you like
Listen,
that? Didn't you? Wasn't you not a fan of the one?
listen, nah. I think after he got kicked out of DX, so he came back with the Royal Rumble thing. That was a little cute little him being in the Final Four. That was great. But other than that, like no, Billy Gunn, it's crazy. Like he gave his famouser, and the guy got back up. It was almost like he
Yeah.
didn't do anything. And then
Who? He did,
he gave the famouser to somebody. I forgot who he gave it to exactly. Could have been
and they
Conan.
just got up.
And they got up after. I was like, wow, is that a fun move now? Like, what are we doing? So, listen, when you look at the team WWF had, they had no business losing. And what I hate in matches like this is you lose a match and all of a sudden Big Show just turns into Super Saiyan Big Show. And now everybody gets to choke him. Where was this energy before? Like, what were you doing? Like, and then,
Stop
I
it.
call this move the alley oop. Like, that did nothing for me. Like, I hate post game or post match
Mhm.
destruction. And I'm asking, where was that level of energy during the match?
When it mattered, right?
It was nowhere where it mattered, like zero. And I think I'm not too sure if Sean Stacey had with that inverted DDT, if that was supposed to win the match, because it seemed like it was almost people were shocked that that won.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you realize when it was a three, it was like, okay, now we just have to fuck shit up. I'm not excuse my language, but I
You
just
good?
think that match was just Another throwaway match. I think that adds to the embarrassment of what kind of pay per view show we put on, and that was just not quality at all. What do you think, Easy? I mean, I'm curious to see what you thought about that one.
I think that was the best match of the night, man. That was like the highlight. That match, that's the match that I paid for Invasion for that at that time. Well, my parents, but
and I hope you're paying your parents back.
no, like just he hit the nail on the head, man. What are we even talking about? Why did he even have that match? Albert, Big Show, and Billy the One, like that.
Billy the One. I'm
Billy,
sorry,
whatever. I don't know. It was
Billy
a
the
terrible
One.
match. It was a throwaway 6 man tag match. They just needed a filler. You know what I mean? I think we all know WWF didn't get all the stars they wanted from WCW.
Yeah.
So they had to just make something happen. You know what I mean?
And look, and no disrespect to Chris Canyon, Hugh Morris, and Sean Stasiak, but these guys had no business being in that ring against these guys. And I mean, it was very one sided. I mean, this invasion thing, you could tell. Um, I don't want to say it was rushed, but it was just like, hey, we got what we need. Let's use these people, utilize these characters.
No, it was rushed. You could say that it was rushed.
You know what it is. So I don't say it's rushed because it's like so. This been going on since what late March, April, to this point in July. So there was a lot of time in between. But I'm pretty sure they were trying to get in contact with a lot of big names. The names Hogan, Nash, Goldberg, Sting, and you know
Right.
what these guys did? They just sat there. They sat out. They were like, "Yo, I'm getting paid from not
Oh, that's
working."
true. That's true.
And when you do that, look, I
That's
can't even
true.
get mad now. As a fan, I'm like, man, that sucks because of what we could have got, right?
Right.
But as a human being, I'm like, yo, I kind of can't even get mad at them. They're like, yo, we're getting guaranteed money,
Yeah, that's true,
you
man.
know.
That's a
So
great.
like
That's a great point.
once you're getting that kind of like when you're getting that, I don't blame them.
But
But
it's
what? Mhm.
does that take away their love of the front for the art? Like,
I don't think so. I
I
don't think so. I don't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, but this was their chance to like make the. This would have been if it was done right. This would have been the biggest thing wrestling has ever done. If they would have just waited another year and all the contracts were worked out, this could have been the biggest thing ever. And
I
we were robbed of it. We were robbed.
I don't think they could have waited another year because like you got to hit on it when you got to hit it on that year. So 2001, they couldn't wait 2002.
I mean,
They
I think
you
they
got to
could
get it
have.
when you got
I
okay.
think they could have because we know we could have waited. The Rock, we wanted the Rock, and then we wanted AAA. We wanted the people we wanted, and I don't know if you're going to get to that in the show, but sorry,
Sure.
I just feel like
No, it's
it
fine.
could. It was done wrong, and we were robbed. We were robbed of it. I feel like.
We
I
were
do
robbed.
agree that we could have waited. Like you now say you bought WCW.
Right.
Keep it going for a little while longer. Why does it have to
Good
be?
point.
Why
Good
do you have
point.
to end the? Why does it have to be the end right there? If I bought something, I want to play with the toy a little longer,
Good point.
and I could have extended that until I had everybody healthy or until the DAS is set. As a leader or a CEO or a lead, I'm not gonna waste money. So
Yeah.
you want me to pay you to sit at home? No, no, no. Okay, I'll keep this going for a year until you confide to me. I'm not going to give you the option to sit at home and do nothing. If it's viable to still make money, so they could have still made money by still producing WCW matches.
Yeah. Or offer more money. Say, hey, you're getting guaranteed money to stay home. We're gonna throw something on
But
top of
that
it.
I was going to say the guaranteed money that wasn't from WWF. That was from Time
WCW,
Warner.
little Time Warner,
Right.
right? But
Right.
WWF could have thrown another incentive in there, like, hey, here's another meal. Just come. Let's just have these. Let's just have this great pay per view event,
And they
and
probably
then
could have.
go sit home. But
You know, and I hear that part. I think that's an interesting point where you're sitting there saying they could have threw out, talking about WWF, they could have threw out more money, but WWF wasn't going to do that. I guess they were like, well, hey, look, because look,
mm,
someone like Booker T, DDP, and I'm pretty sure there's other names, and people can correct me on it, but like there were a lot of people who took pay cuts, and just so they can just say, hey, I'm going to be on TV, I'm going to be on WWF, and
yeah,
so yeah, but for a lot of them, I don't think it takes away their love for the game of professional wrestling. It's just they like, hey, I'm making guaranteed money. And I think if a lot of people, they could, regardless if it's something that you love, if you could sit out for a year or whatever and you get guaranteed money, a lot of people will do that.
Right.
I personally think that. Um, I think that, and I hear what you guys are saying. I think that, and that's one of the things I love about having a conversation about wrestling is because, like, um, one of the things I
I,
love about I'm sorry, because I just realized we had a little thing. But one of the things I love about having the conversation about wrestling is that people can bring up things. So like when you guys were mentioning and saying like, hey, um, you could have probably stretched this out for maybe a year or whatever it was.
yeah.
I think you want to hit on it now on the money where like right now WCW because like WCW just got bought out and like hey people are still talking about WCW. It's not a guarantee that everyone's still going to be talking about WCW in 2002 rather
Right.
than 2001. But we'll
Right.
move forward here. We're going to give a moment here because I know our guy will be coming back here. Um, but we'll go to this match here. We had Tajiri representing Team WWF, and he went against Taz representing ECW. It was a singles match. It was 5 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm going to give you the floor here first, here, guy. What did you think about this?
Um. Well, I love watching Tajiri wrestle. I think he's super talented. I love the flurry of kicks that he pulled out on Taz. Taz is another good technical wrestler, submission master. I think the match had a lot of potential. Two ECW guys. Um, it
Hmm.
wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad match. It was much better than the other 4 or 5 matches except for the X Pac and Billy Kidman. I love when Jerry pulls out the tarantula. He's just entertaining. You know what I mean? And I think he carried the match a little bit more. Taz maybe seemed a little uninterested in it. Maybe he felt he was a bigger name and he should have been wrestling someone else just by his body language a little bit.
Sure.
But yeah, but I did enjoy watching that match. It wasn't a bad match. And when especially when Tajiri pulls out the mist and maybe Taz is mad he was going to lose to Tajiri. Who knows? Taz was a face, one of the faces of ECW, and I don't know, maybe he felt like he shouldn't have been putting Tajiri over if he was putting him over or not. But I don't know. I enjoyed the match though. I liked it.
This is one of those matches. I sound like I'm not trying to sound like a Grinch here, but I just felt like it was not a match that needed to be on the card of Invasion. Like, I don't think there was anything wrong with this match. I think that these guys bust their ass and had a pretty decent match. I mean, it was fine. It was
Right.
fine. There was nothing. I can't sit here and look at it and say anything mechanically there was something wrong with this match. It really wasn't. You talked about Tajiri. Tajiri is fun to watch. I mean, from the springboard elbow, the miss, the
Hmm.
the, the kicks. Tajiri was fun to watch even back in the day. Um, but I just didn't need this in my invasion card.
I agree.
Like
That's true. I see your point.
yeah, and I sit here and go, oh, he's back. Let's reel him back in.
So
Things
like
happen.
to me, I don't know about you, but to me, what makes matches for me is the storyline and of course the ring work.
Sure.
So I don't, so I think this one didn't have the storyline, but it had a little bit of the ring work with, on more on Tajiri's side, you know. So that I kind of enjoyed this for more of like an art form more than than the storyline part.
And that's fair. That's fine. I respect that.
Mhm.
Rich Kings, do you have any thoughts about this Taz against Tajiri? We'll give him a second here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry, I had to switch over the phones. This other phone died. My apologies, guys.
no, that's
Um,
good. Very good.
I'm trying to get this camera to work, but it was all right. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't nothing too special. I feel like the highlight was the mist and him kicking him and winning.
And what about the tarantula, Rich Kings?
I love the tarantula. It's
That's
always
not
good to
good.
see the tarantula in action. So,
Yeah.
I'm a Tajiri fan personally. I
Oh,
like me
cool.
some
We agree
Tajiri.
on something.
So, just being able to see him pick up that W and run up out of there as usual, I love it.
Nice. Were you listening to my take? Because you said exactly what I said. I don't know.
I did not. I promise you, I did not.
Okay.
We're aligned.
Yeah, I love Tajiri. Tajiri's entertaining. Like I said, Taz is more of a brawler, but I think Tajiri carried him. Sorry, I keep calling you Justin. I think everyone knows you're Justin by now. But anyway, Rich Kings. How do you feel about? I was saying my point was that Taz's body language looked like he didn't want to be in that match. It looked like he just was like, "Oh, you guys got me. I should be in the main event," kind of with the other big names. You feel like that too? Did you catch that a
Yeah,
little bit?
Towns is just such a robust personality, right? So I feel like he always looks miserable anyway. He never looks happy. So like you have me come and interfere in a match, then you have me come in this match and lose this match. I remember he was one that spoke up against Stone Cold on SmackDown and got his ass kicked too. Like he's just a rebel. Like he's just like you know
Just
who
a
Taz reminds
rebel.
me of?
He's just a
Oh,
rebel.
He reminds me of Butler.
Butler. Oh man, is Taz black? By the way,
He is.
He's not.
he's not. I thought he was black.
I think he's black. What is he, Muslim?
I don't even know what you call it is. Like
I'm
I thought
confused.
that too, and then someone the Twitter was like, he's not. I don't know, but like I don't know what his whole
We
thing.
need a fact checker on this show.
I was
Someone.
saying say this. Look, who am I to sit here and say anything?
Well, he's from
Google.
Brooklyn, so
What does that have to do with anything? There's other races that live in Brooklyn, right?
I mean I know, but still, if you're from Brooklyn, you're black.
Okay.
We'll look it up.
Let me go to the next match here, and I do want to take the floor here first. Here, we have this match. This match went 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We have Rob Van Dam representing ECW going against Jeff Hardy. Let me talk about this match real quick here, right? I love that there was like this cold opening before the match. Jeff Hardy is stretching. Matt Hardy is having this like conversation with Jeff, and whatever. RVD hits Matt Hardy in the back with a chair, and then he says, "Jeff Hardy, you're next." And Jeff Hardy checks on his brother and all that stuff, but Matt is like, "Go, go, 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 dude! I'm all right, good." Yo, I kid you not. I'm watching this match. I remember even as a kid. I remember my feelings about this. I remember watching this, and I said, I don't know who RVD is, but I'm rooting for Jeff Hardy. Like Jeff Hardy was my guy,
Hmm.
right? And as I'm watching this match, and everything is just happening, just a lot of action going on. RVD hits the Van Daminator, knocking Jeff Hardy off the stage, the invasion stage, and I immediately said, "Who the fuck is that guy?" I immediately took a liking to this guy. I said, I don't know who you are, but I'm paying attention. And like he was doing all these things that was so innovative at the time. It was just something so different. I never saw someone do these things with a chair like how he was. And there's a spot where Jeff Hardy hits this German in the way like RVD lands on his neck. But RVD was such a Yo, when he hit the 5-star frog. Now, when I saw a frog splash, I thought of Eddie Guerrero, right?
Hmm.
But when he did it, I immediately said, like, yo, you can hurt yourself from doing a 5-star frog splash? I was immediately a fan after that. I was doing this too after that. I said, I don't know what this means, but I'm with you. This match was honestly the match of the night. There's no questions asked. You can't tell me this was not the match of the night. RVD, Jeff Hardy, and that was, I honestly feel like, and this might be so offensive to people who watch ECW who knew what RVD was about, but for me, this was his coming out party. Like what I saw, what RVD was doing, and even watching it back years later, I sat here and said he's the whole damn show. Absolutely. So yes, this match was the match of the night. I enjoyed this match so much. Um, and like yeah, nah, man, like RVD really showed the hell out. Like he really did. But I can't wait to hear you guys thoughts about this match.
I didn't. It was a good entertaining match, but I don't think Jeff Hardy had the star power for this match. You know what I mean? He wasn't on RVD's level as far as like I said, star power over at ECW. RVD, it was like the golden goose over there with the other guys, Taz and Rhino and all those guys, Sandman and all them. But then Jeff Hardy was Jeff Hardy. No disrespect, he was a tag team, guy. And I just think that a better opponent probably would have been like a. I know he wasn't there at the time, but like a Eddie Guerrero or maybe a Chris Jericho. But it was a good match. It was a good match. Definitely good. But it didn't feel like Jeff Hardy lived up to, like I said, the star power that he should have been in that ring with RVD at that time for this pay-per-view. Maybe later on, Jeff, when he became a little bit more, and solo, but not tag team Jeff. I don't think he was the right person for this. And I
Okay.
know that kind of breaks your heart. Great Grand Slam, who I know you love Jeff,
My heart is shattered.
but
What do you got, Rich Kings?
I tend to disagree there, Easy. I think despite him not having the star power, I think he stepped up to the plate and delivered a match. Like if you, and I think if this was supposed to be RVD's coming out party, who could we pair? Like I think they did an awful job, as we talked about throughout this review, of pairing people. Who could we have paired RVD with? Yeah, Chris Jericho could have been an option, but he's in the main event, so no. But when you think about what's the next best thing, I think it was Jeff Hardy. I think that when you think about the type of styles they have. And Jeff Hardy's he was, we know what the Hardy Boys were, taken to the extreme, but he was the extreme one, right? So you think about
Yes.
RVD being extreme, you think about Jeff Hardy being extreme, how Jeff Hardy's falling off a ladder onto concrete floor essentially with that little rug there. Like who's doing that? Like who's selling that? Who's gonna sell the way how Jeff Hardy sells, or who's gonna sell the way how RVD sell? And I think the pairing was just perfect, and the way how they were selling the move and delivering the move at the same time was one of the best pure matches we saw throughout the night. So I understand what you're saying about the star power where Jeff Hardy was at his career at that point in time, but I think he delivered and did more than we expected in that type of match. Like they were fighting over the Hardcore Championship. I think that was also the next thing is like these are high flyers. They're using they're using the weapons somewhat, but when we thought about the Hardcore Championship at that time, we're thinking about backstage brawls. Someone's going to interfere. Someone's going to sneak up and win the championship. And there was no interferences. It was just a straight up great match. And I think that I think that's something that put Jeff Hardy on the map, honestly, as you could do this by yourself. So I appreciate Matt Hardy not being there. I appreciate the way how the whole entire match was great, how they traveled a little bit around the ring and ended up back into the ring. To me, it was one of the matches of the night. I think that they did a great job, and we saw the debut of the 5-star Frog Splash. It was just great. It was just overall a great match.
And you know what else I think too is I think that I loved everything that you said there, but for me, I feel like so when you were talking about like who else could have been like if not Jeff Hardy, who else, right? Jeff Hardy was the best dance partner for RVD, especially if you're talking about a match like this, like his. I mean, RVD did some stuff with WWF before. I'm not gonna say this was like his first WWF match and anything like that, right? But like Jeff Hardy was someone like if RVD was like, I can do this, Jeff Hardy's like I can do it better, kind of thing. I felt like this was the right person to be in the ring with and
Mhm.
also get RVD over. Like I don't know if that was the goal for them is to try to get RVD over, but he got over. That one night alone, I think opened eyes for a lot of people because not everyone watched ECW. I know didn't, and seeing him and what he was able to do I immediately said like, "Yo, like, what are we doing here? At this point, why are we giving him just a hardcore title? Let's give him something else."
Right.
But I thought this match was, I thought this was like, honestly the match of the night, and it was the match that really this card needed because I felt like we had a lot of those matches that was just kind of like just there, and then you have this that I felt like there was like serious implementation. I'm sorry, I pronounced it all wrong. But it was a serious match. I'm sorry, I
Mhm.
butchered the hell out of that word, and I'm pretty sure you guys know what I mean. But like, yes, this match was just this was the kind of match needed for this card, and they gave him like I almost like sometimes I be thinking these matches are a lot longer, but they're not. But it was like 12 minutes and 40 seconds. So
Yeah. Can I ask you
uh,
both a question? If I said, "Hey guys, would you guys be interested in let's go see a Devon Dudley versus The Rock match? Would you be interested in watching that?" No, right? So that's kind of what I'm comparing it to because RVD was like The Rock of ECW. So, and not no disrespect to Jeff, he wasn't. He was a tag team guy at WWE, and I
but
think
Jeff Hardy, but see, here's the thing: Jeff Hardy was over. Like that's the thing. Jeff Hardy was over. I'm not. Now, granted, if you're saying is he as over as he was in '06 and later on in his career, no. But like people loved Jeff Hardy though.
he
Like
loved his in ring work. Yeah, Jeff Hardy was great. He was probably he wasn't on Edge level as a tag team partner, but he probably was next
I
level.
think I would
I
put him a
don't
little
think so.
high. I put him higher
No.
than
Well, you
I know
do.
I'd pick him high over Edge. Like
I
and
don't
not
think
and,
he's low
and
enough.
not even no disrespect to Edge. Like at this time in this period, they really were behind Edge. King of the Ring, he eventually became the Intercontinental Champion. They were really behind this guy. So like they definitely and also too. He ended up later that year winning the United States champion. He unified the Intercontinental and
Mhm.
U.S. So they really did like him, and I see why they did. But like when you say tag team and stuff like that, I don't know. I kind of got Jeff, but maybe it's a biasness on my end.
What you think, Rich Kings? I just feel like RVD was too big of a name to have this match with. They are similar wrestling styles, but RVD was still RVD over at ECW.
Yeah, I understand your thought process here, like why you think that. I'm just basing off of what I saw in the match, not basing off the name. If I did not know where either of them came from, it was my first time watching a match, I would have thought that this was great. Now, star name and star power, I would give you that. Absolutely not. That was not. They did not align that perfectly. But the problem was already so unique, and I think that, like I said, besides Jericho, who you put in there? That's going to give you and put already over the well he needed to be put over. That is the talent that was available at the
Right.
time. The person you could have said was potentially it could have been Kurt Angle, right? It could have been
Right.
that person, but he's in the main event. So the
Right.
people that are forced to go in the main event, I think that if all hands are a deck, I think Chris Benoit would have been great option for RVD at the time. It might not have been the same star power, but I think Chris Benoit and RVD could have had a great match. But
But
at the
that goes
same
also
time,
to show
Yeah,
that goes to your point. Oh, to my point, you said RVD stole the show. And you didn't know who he was. So his
no,
first time you seeing him, imagine ECW guys who watch that show over and over and watch this guy hundreds of times. They like this is their guy. So
yeah.
your first time, he captivated you. That's how good he was. Jeff Hardy shouldn't have been in that ring with him.
But
but I
typically,
think, but I
but I would say this to wrestling. Typically speaking, right, when a person comes over from another company, they're not saying they get a squasher, but they're not going against straight up that number one option, number one versus one, number one. That does not happen too much with wrestling.
But
So I,
ECW people are watching WWE now, so you
I
have to
get it.
accommodate them
So
too.
that's easy. That's ECW's number one person, right?
Yeah,
That they were like, okay, let's give you somebody to introduce you to, and the perfect person to introduce him to the WWF universe was Jeff Hardy at the time to get us bought in. You know who he is already. Yes, you're the fan. Now let's bring you into our realm so he could look even better. I don't think like there would they even say if he got put in that main event, he would have been looked over.
right.
He would not have they would not have had the same impact as how he had in that match. And I firmly believe that. And that's me watching the match. And
Mm.
obviously he was in the Survivor Series match after. It was like, yes, thank you for the introduction. You belong here. You are the face of ACW
that's
time.
that stemmed
Huh?
from that. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to add that stemmed from him getting over as
Yes.
time went on, and and a great way to get over. If I can just piggyback a little bit on what you were saying, because you're making some great points here. But like to get him over, he has to have that really great dance partner. And I think when you have a match, when you have against Jeff Hardy, and then time goes on, and you're building and building and
Right.
building, like this, you need a great introduction. And I think Jeff Hardy was the
Oh,
best person because like if he's not fighting, he's not to your point, Rich Kings. He's not fighting The Rock on night one. He's not fighting Stone Cold. He has to face somebody who can match his I
right.
don't say freak, but match his extreme. And Jeff Hardy was the best person on that card.
Uh,
So as WWE fans, if WCW would have bought out the WWE and
Right.
we saw the All Star, let's say The Rock or Stone Cold versus Billy Kidman, we're gonna be like, what the fuck? What are
But
you doing?
I don't think I don't think that's a fair comparison, though.
I think that's a how. I think Billy Kidman and Jeff Hardy
No,
are like
Billy Kidman was a cruiserweight,
All right,
and The
but
Rock was
all right. So I'll just say they put the Raw versus Buff Bagwell. Let's say they did that, right? What you do there is introduce the character. You're not putting them against them. So what WWF does a lot at that time was remember Chris Jericho's debut. He debuted against someone like The Rock. The Rock is a great mic person. Jericho's a great mic person. Hey, who in the fuck are you? Not who the fuck, but excuse me, who are
that's
you?
fine.
But that's
right?
because
And it helped Jericho, but that helped boost Jericho up because we, as WCW people, we know who Jericho is. What that did was Jericho came to WWE for a reason. He wanted more. He knew his potential. Who did they match him up with? They said, "You're The Rock," because
star
this
power.
is who you are. This is our top talent at the time. We know who The Rock wasn't the top talent, and they put someone who was a mid-tier person in WCW online in the segment with The Rock.
Chris Jericho
What's
was
the difference?
mid tier at that time in WCW.
Yeah,
Yes, he was
yeah.
not top tier. He was mid
Okay,
tier.
okay.
It was meant to.
Look
He
at the
was the he
Radicals.
was
When
the
the Radicals debuted, they didn't debut. They all four of them came together and they caused destruction on an average person. We're not going to have the Radicals come out and attack Triple H. That's
Right,
not
right,
that's
right.
not staying power.
I get it. Okay. I don't think we want to stay on this match too long.
Oof.
but
No, this is a match.
everyone,
Oh no, this other match. Yeah, this is no.
no, but everyone give their thoughts about this match.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay. No, I just wanted to be sure, but I really did like this match. This was a match of the night for me. I'll give you the floor here first. Easy. So this match only went 5 minutes and 3 seconds. We had Trish Stratus and Lita going against Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler. And I guess my only thing about this was so one sided. Like I mean, like these WCW and look, I have a lot like so. Shout out to Trish Stratus. She had a match with Tiffany Stratton on Evolution, and she was wearing a shirt that said "Everyone's First Crush." Now, don't get me wrong. Trish Stratus is a beautiful. She's still beautiful, very very beautiful. But my
Yeah.
first crush was Tori Wilson.
Mm,
I loved me some Tori. I still love Tori Wilson. She is a beauty, a sweetheart. I just wanted to sit here and say this, but she had no business being in the ring with Lita and Trish on the opposite side. But
yeah.
easy, like, why don't you take the floor here? Bro and Patty's match. What do you got?
Um. Well, two takes. I love Trish Stratus. It could have been Trish Stratus versus a doorknob, and I would have been gushing over this match at that time. You know, Trish was my girl. Um,
I remember.
yeah, Lita. I think Lita's a great talent. She's probably one of the best in ring female wrestler at that time. Um, I was disappointed that Trish didn't take her pants off. That's probably the only thing that bothered me in that match was I didn't get to see Trish, get fully bikinied out. So, but it was a good match. You know, I got to see some puppies, as Jerry the King Lawler used to say. But it was a good match. It wasn't a good. It was good for bra and panties. Like it was good for the perverts of the world. Like that's what I
I'm
feel.
laughing because I feel like when you said it was a good match, I think I did like this, and I saw Rich Cage do it like this too. Like, yeah, it's a good match. But Rich Cage, take the floor because I know he's gonna rip into this. At least I think so.
Well, I'm not gonna rip into it too much, but that was the current climate of WWF at the time, right? That's how they used the woman. So
Yeah,
for the time for what it was, what I think was Stacey Keebler and Tori Wilson had no business in the ring. If they would have won that match, it would have made zero sense whatsoever. It didn't make any sense. And I think that when you have like Trish Stratus and Lita were just also so over. They were just so, like if a wrestling match or a strip match, what you want to call it, they're not losing to those two. Like it's just not happening. So honestly, it was I want to say it was a filler. It was just okay. Here are the WCW women. Here's some puppies and ass for you to look at, and let's get out. Let's keep it
yeah,
moving. And another thing is that match should not have been so close in the main event. Like that was like
That's fair. Yeah,
why? Why was
that's
it
fair.
right before the main event?
That's
yeah.
fair. I don't know. That's a damn good question. My takeaway from this is when I was watching this, I remember having a conversation with a female friend of mine, and she don't watch wrestling, but she was just like, you know, she was talking about what women wrestling is, and obviously it was very outdated. I was like, it's not like that anymore. It's a totally different world. Um, I'm watching this match, and I mean, I'll be honest, as a young man, yeah, like, we were like 12, 13 at the time. And, you're like, you get excited about it, right? But as an adult, you're just kind of like, wow, this was really what the times were in wrestling. And why a lot of
Yeah,
women who wanted to be wrestlers were like, but do I have to do that? I'm
yeah,
glad that things have changed since, and women are getting more time and showcasing. I feel like I've said this before, but I'll say it here again. A lot of times, these women who go out there and they perform better than the men. So I love
Now,
that things
now,
yeah, now they do. And
yeah,
even then, I think even then, if they were having an opportunity to, if they had the opportunity that they have now, I think a lot of women back then could have. You
yeah,
know, I think of someone like Jazz. I think she was great. I think you was mentioning leaders. Like if I'm going down like a list of women, Trish Stratus was getting better. Because look, let's be real. Trish Stratus at that point was not on the level of leader. Um, yeah,
hmm
I think out of both of them, leader was the better of the two, personally. Um, but if I go down the line of women and you give them time, I think they could have had better matches. I'm thinking about a leader. I'm thinking about a Trish. I'm thinking about a Jazz. I'm thinking about a Victoria. Gail Kim, she didn't get a fair shake, honestly. That first run in WWE. I feel like there's another name I'm not including, but Molly Holly, I think she was great as well. She was very, very solid. My point is saying is that there were women at that time who could have gone or go, but they just didn't get that opportunity. Um,
yeah. Don't forget about the golden era ladies who Bubba Ray put. What's her name? He put her to a table. Uh,
oh, you talking about Mae Young?
Mae Young and Mae Young. You know, she was at that
Oh, she was
age getting put through tables. Come on, I
no,
would
she
have.
was
Yeah,
she
I
was
would have
tough as
been
nails.
frightened. Yeah,
She
man.
she no, she was tough as nails. Like if I'm running a company and she's still around, I'm putting the women's championship on her. Like she
Yeah,
was tough as nails.
she was solid.
Maybe not a long run, but like yeah, no, she was dope as hell. But I'm just saying, women's wrestling definitely has improved a lot. But like I'm watching this and this, they didn't even give them that much time. This clearly was just for those horn dog guys in the crowd to be like, "Hey,
Yeah,
look, I got to see." That's
exactly. That was the main event for some of those guys. You know.
yeah. Some of them probably some people probably left after this. But let's get into the main event here. There was a video hyping up this match. It was a 5-on-5. I thought that this video was well done. I do sit here and say I kind of miss this in wrestling, like those hype videos. And when it's done right, it's just like man, I kid you not, guys. Like when we were kids. I don't mean to be that that guy who's like I yell at the cloud, right? But man, wasn't it so cool back in the day where there would be that really cool music video and they had this hype video and you was pumped. Like
Mhm.
if I can use that example, I feel like because Limp Bizkit was with WWE, I feel like Limp Bizkit and WWE were a tag team, right? But like when you think about My Way, it's so iconic, right?
Right.
Like I don't know what rock band was doing this song and everything like that. I don't remember any of that stuff, but it was a great way to hype up the video. You see Stone Cold, he was in that. He wanted to hug Vince McMahon every chance he could, era, and then Vince is like, "I need the old Stone Cold. I need Stone Cold
Yeah.
who's gonna like whoop ass. I don't need." But I thought the video was well done. Now, granted, I don't want to be like that guy, but like I'm watching the video and Stone Cold he drives in and he stuns half of WCW and ECW and I was just like yeah I don't know I was a little like not turned off but I was just like this is ridiculous.
hmm
It's a little ridiculous. Um, and it's not the first time this ever happened, but it's still ridiculous if you look at it. But I miss stuff like that. But I want to give you the floor here first, Rich Kings, because I think you're going to set the tone for this. Now, we had a 5-on-5, and I'll save my last piece. I feel like you gentlemen know where I'm going to go with this when it comes to my last piece of this conversation here. But this 5-on-5, let me run down the names here. I'm sorry, I want to make sure I got all the names here. Representing Team WCW, we had Booker T, Bubba Ray, Diamond Dallas Page, D. Von Dudley, and Rhino with Stephanie and Shane McMahon. You know what's funny? If I could just throw out here real quick, Rich Kings, I feel like brought up this point. He said it just felt like it was about the McMahons, right? It reminded me of WrestleMania 2000. There was a McMahon in every corner. Who were we missing? Linda, right? That's the who we were missing. Linda, right? We were
Linda.
missing Linda McMahon and they take on oh, I'm sorry. I said Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, and Paul Heyman. I'm sorry, Paul Heyman was there too, taking on Team WWF, which Chris Jericho, Kane, Kurt Angle, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Undertaker with just Vince McMahon by himself, being out there to corner his team. Rich Kings, I'm going to give you the floor here first, and I'll give you the floor next, easy. But please, Rich Kings, what did you think about this match? This match, real quick, before I give you the floor here. This match went 29 minutes and 5 seconds.
Yeah. So, I think obviously the people in the match. We'll get into that later on. Like, oof, not what you want. But the match itself, it was okay. Like Crane got a lot of abuse in the match, which I didn't appreciate personally. But it was a solid back and forth. I think when Oh, hell broke loose. So Undertaker said, "I had enough of this." Right? He just decided that we are going to end this tag match and we're going to make it into a brawl. We're not.
Mhm.
This is not happening anymore. So I think I appreciate Taker just saying the tone fight. Let's have a brawl for the next 5 7 minutes. Winner takes all. Let's go. The match itself, and I think when I think about at the time, I didn't understand why was it just one pin and it's over on a 5 versus 5. I didn't understand that when I was younger. Like why? There should be people eliminated, right? But it was okay for what it was. It could be better, but they did the best they could do with the time they had available, right? So I appreciate the choke slam through the table by to Devon. I don't understand why we did a double suplex to Kane. Like we just one of them couldn't do something to Kane. Like come on, stop. It just didn't make sense. Like we just had to do a double suplex to take him out. But like looking at the match, I kind of got a little frustrated again. Like, okay, but this is wrestling, so I gotta relax. Like Jericho puts Rhino through the table. Why were you out for like 5 minutes again? Like what happened to you? Like you did the offensive move and you're out for the rest of the match. Like gone. Like just gone. Like just unavailable. So I was a little irritated by that. I think he was more knocked out more than Charles Robinson, and Charles Robinson got a last ride. So I think that when you think about like the match itself, the match was a little puzzling. Like there could have been something more happening, like a different type of turn. But like I think what I also appreciated that time, it showed like I want to say the peak of Kurt Angle, but here comes Kurt Angle, right? Because he had that little hype moment where he gave a couple of angle slams. He got the ankle locked in a Booker T. Like he was going like a machine. And of course, Austin did Austin things, and the Lions ends up winning the match. But I think what I appreciated the most is for me personally, being selfish as a Kurt Angle fan, was watching him get that 2 minute run of like I could be the man, and
Mhm.
then not just yet. A little tease, so it was good.
Easy. I want to hear your thoughts about this, sir.
Uh, Rich Kings has some good points. I do want to ask a question as I say this. You said that it should have been an elimination, right? But wasn't Survivor Series the elimination one? Or was it
Yes.
the?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
Survivor Series was an elimination, but as a kid, I was thinking, why was it just one pin? One pin, but I
right.
understand why it was just one pin now. Like it's like it is what it is. Like because I get it, but at the
Mhm.
time, I just didn't understand it as a kid.
Okay. Also, I don't think the Dudleys should have been in that match at all, but we'll get to that later. And then also another point to piggyback on what you said. I think every tag match or every any tag match more than four people always ends in a brawl, and then you get the pin because it has to kind of go that way. But yeah, I think the match was it wasn't bad. It was probably the second best match, or maybe first or second, whatever, of the night. I think it was interesting seeing, heavyweights, different companies versus heavyweights of WWE, and it was fun. Like he said, Kurt Angle kind of was like the best in ring performer. Him and Booker T. DDP was terrible that match. He looked like he just had a lot to drink before the match. Maybe he was,
What? What are you
yeah.
saying?
But DDP he looked terrible. Rewatch it. Um,
I will because like I kid you not when I did watch it so we're recording this so the night before
mm.
I did watch it and I did fall asleep in the middle of the match. I like it
Okay,
just
well.
this honestly this match didn't do it for me.
Oh, exactly. So
Well,
Rich
well
King.
to Easy's
uh,
point, when DDP came, when his interest hit, he looked like he was a little hungover, honestly.
Yeah,
And then he did the bang, and when Undertaker was charging him, he looked like he didn't know where he was at.
yeah.
I did I had to rewatch that because I didn't see that. Okay.
You fell asleep on it. Exactly. That goes to the
No,
point. Like,
but I kid you not, I woke up just in time to see Stone Cold stun Kurt Angle, and I said, "Oh
yeah.
yeah, right." But no, I did miss a good portion of this match, and I do have to watch it. But you know what it is? here's the thing: this whole pay-per-view of an invasion, right? When you hear this, like we all had thoughts about what an invasion would look for us, and we talked about what our 5-on-5 would look like. And I think I don't know if everyone was on board with this, but like for me, it was like ECW wouldn't be involved in this pay per view. It would be WWF, WCW. Would I have brought in ECW? I probably wouldn't have, but if I had to, it wouldn't have been for Invasion. I feel like I would have had ECW somewhere between SummerSlam or a little after SummerSlam, just if you wanted to keep this thing going. And even then, ECW teaming up with WCW just don't even seem right. ECW thought WCW was like the Antichrist.
Hmm.
Like them being paired up, it was like as a kid, I don't think nothing of it, right? Like I'm watching it, I'm just enjoying the product. But as you get older, you're like, yo, they were kind of like when Mike Awesome joined WCW, they people were upset about that. And I'm talking about that ECW bubble. And I would love for people who watch ECW at that time, because I love the conversation about wrestling. So I have no problem being wrong about anything. But like, hey, talk to me, tell me, correct me. I'm always open for that kind of conversation. I love it. Um, but I'm just saying, like, ECW would never even be teaming up with WCW. They would just be doing their own thing. They would just be like destroying everything. But like, so let's end the show with this because I just think this is so much fun. We've watched wrestling. We grew up watching wrestling in the '90s and early 2000s, and I think this is the fun thing about this conversation here because I feel like a lot of people are gonna have a different 5-on-5 from us. But I'm going to give you the floor here. First one, EZ.
Hmm.
What does your 5-on-5 look like in Invasion? But you have the book, and everyone's available.
Gotcha. Well, thinking about what you just said, I probably wouldn't have had ECW. You made a good point. So going WWE versus WCW, starting with WCW, I think I'm gonna go Goldberg, of course. I'm gonna go Hogan. That's my two. I'm gonna go Sting 3, 4. I would probably say Kevin Nash, and then I will probably end it with maybe I'll go Booker T, and then the WWF side, I'm going Rock, Austin, Taker, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels.
Ooh, that's a
And
good one.
I would have WCW winning with Goldberg finishing Austin off with a spear, and then Hogan with the leg drop, and we're gonna end it like that. WCW is gonna be put over WWE.
I love the the combination.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. Scott Hall's gonna come in and interfere with a bat to The Rock. Then we're gonna spray paint NWO in the ring over WWF. That's mine.
Okay, I mean, it's not a bad pick. Not a bad pick. One
Yeah.
easy. What do you got, Rich Kings? I want you to take the floor next. What do you got? What's your 5-on-5?
We actually have identical WWF teams. Austin, Rock, Triple H, Taker, and Shawn Michaels is the team for me. And if I were to take out Shawn Michaels, I would probably just throw in. I will have to probably just throw in Kurt Angle personally for myself, right? I just talked about how he kind of stole the show for me in the match anyway. So if I had to take him out, if you're saying I got to lose one, it would be Shawn Michaels, and I put in. Honestly, I'll take honestly Taker and put in Kurt Angle. I understand why Taker's there, but listen, he'll be there for Survivor Series. It's fine. When it goes into like the WCW portion is where it gets a little tricky, right? So Hogan, Sting, Goldberg, Booker T, and then the last one is I kind of struggle with it should be Kevin Nash, should it be DDP, should it be you know at the time Jeff Jarrett because he was winning and losing the belt like nobody's business apparently, but I would have to truly go with DDP because Kevin Nash is just I just don't think at that time it just He's just I don't know. And I'm saying he didn't have it in him, but it just I don't see it. I would go with GDP.
Yeah, I think you guys have some really, really great lists. I think that's the fun thing about WCW. Matter of fact, shout out to EZ. He shared a what was it like top 50 WCW list or something like that. And I think Kevin Nash was like in top five, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I
Mhm.
would have him even in that as top five. And that's no discredit to one Kevin Nash. I think Kevin Nash did a lot of great things in WCW and did a lot of. I mean, he was a part of a lot of cool things. Um, so I hope that doesn't come off very, very disrespectful. What my list would look like. So let's go with Team WWF here. Austin Rock, Triple H. I definitely said Undertaker, and my last was always kind of rough here, but I think I hear what you're saying about Kurt Angle. So if you guys say Kurt Angle, cool, but I'm gonna say Chris Jericho. For WCW for me, it's Sting, it's Bill Goldberg, it's Hulk Hogan, it's Booker T because he was the WCW champion at the time. And I said Ric Flair. And I understand why everyone might be like, Ric Flair, why would you say Ric Flair? But these are guys that I think represented WCW. So I'm going to go with that. And how I would have this going over, like, yes, WCW has to go over in this match. But what would WCW look like going over in this match? I would have Bret Hart interfere in the match. I would have him come out, attack a WWF guy, and have WCW win. And when it comes off like, hey, we appreciate what you did for us for WCW. We love that, Brett. And Brett's like, nah, I didn't do this for no WCW. I did this because like WWF gets on my damn nerve.
Mhm.
And there's a story that you can tell there, and there's stuff that you can do here. So he's with WCW by association, but he's not really like he's not for the cause. And I think that's something that you could have done with Bret Hart if he's healthy and he's able to still put on matches. And think about match qualities that you could have had there. I think matches with him against Kurt Angle, him against Chris Jericho, him against name them, and maybe some people that I'm not even naming like younger talents that he could have worked with. I would have been for it. So um,
As long as you didn't
that's
say Jeff Hardy, I'm happy.
I didn't
uh,
give my ending for that either, so I'll throw in my ending here too. So how I would have probably have it is very similar how Easy would have had it. I would have had NWO interrupt. Like Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, here they come. They have to interrupt and they're and I feel like yeah, WCW wins, but it's the NWO that wins. So we ain't calling WCW the we're calling NWO. And when you think about it, the four of the five members that have on that team were in the NWO at one point of their career already. The only person that wasn't in the NWO was Goldberg. So
Mhm.
all those other members for like for whatever reason just was in the NWO because the NWO just was the virus that took over WCW. So when I think about when WCW was in their prime, it was with the NWO. So I would have them take over, and it would be the NWO WCW version to lead us into SummerSlam because I do think that with that powerhouse and the storylines and you remember how it was in WCW, almost everybody was part of the NWO. They had to make a NWO Wolfpack. And then there was an LWO, and the LWO still exists to this day for whatever reason. But there's that kind of stuff where I think that could help extend the storyline and bring other people in.
Yeah. Well, what about if maybe The Rock or Austin betrayed WWE and turned NWO, something crazy like
I
that?
wouldn't want that though. I don't think I think that would be so unnecessary, personally.
Mhm. Yeah, we did because it does kind of discredit the stars of WCW. They can handle their own. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
I think and one of the things is too. I think this is what I think as an adult, right? Like as a kid, didn't probably think too much of it because I just wanted to enjoy the product. But like as an adult, I was like, it just makes me go like when I watched when Stone Cold turned on Team WWF, it just made it clear that WCW and ECW was so inferior.
Yeah,
And I think that's a
but
disservice. I think it's a disservice.
that's my point though of earlier when I was saying those it's WCW's fault. It's those superstars' fault because they should have said we don't want our product to look bad on this stage. So Hogan and Nash and Sting and Goldberg should have said, "Fuck the money. This is about pride. This is about art. This is about we believe we had a good product over there, so we're gonna still show up and we're gonna come in and be a part of this." So it's their fault that WWE looked so much bigger You know, it's their fault. They lost that war. They lost it. It's on them.
And I hear you, and I love the passion, but I also don't blame the individual where they're like, um, they're just simply like, hey, look, we're making guaranteed money, just not showing up. Like if they had did that, and they would have, and if they did show up on WWE TV and everything, they would have took a pay cut. Now,
But
if they had done that,
they all
that
wind up coming over anyway. That's the point. They all came over.
yeah, once that guaranteed money, I mean, I think it's a difference where guaranteed money and then you're able to negotiate all these things and stuff. Look, I don't know when it comes to the whole finances. I'm not even going to try to pretend any of that stuff. It would have been great if we would have had a Sting and Bill Goldberg and all these other names that you think about in WCW, but they didn't show up, and I don't fault them for sitting here having guaranteed money. Where guaranteed money, where hey, I'm not. Look, what they do in the ring is amazing. um,
Yeah.
it beats up your body, and the fact that a lot of these guys and gals, even if, however you want to word it, or they were able to get some rest and not put their bodies on the line anymore. Especially if you've been doing that for a consistent amount of time for many
Listen,
many years.
I
I
get
would
what
have
you're saying.
loved
I
it.
hear you. But the WWE guys did it. Taker had been wrestling. He's still
They
sacrificing
won.
that.
They won the war.
Yeah, but that goes to the point of what Taker. I watched the podcast where Taker was saying that those guys were lazy. They that's why they lost. They put the money over the product, the art, the fans, because there was a lot of backstage stuff. There was a lot of people was just getting paid money they wasn't worth. So I think WCW lost the war, and that was a testament, an example of them losing, not
I,
showing up.
I, I, I think there's a lot to that. I think there's a lot of layers to that. And he's talking about why they lost the war. I think a lot of things. I think it was bad booking on a lot of things and storylines and stuff like that. But I also think that when you have won the war, it's easy for you to say all these things because, like, I mean, if and now my question would be this. I guess is my question. Let's say WCW won the war, right? and
Hmm.
the thing goes back for WWF, and there's a lot of guys in WWF who goes like, "Oh, I'm getting guaranteed money for this.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm going to sit this out." Like, all I'm saying is, I think it's a different thing when you have won the war compared to someone who lost the war. That's all. I'm not saying he doesn't have valid points. He might be, but I don't necessarily agree on everything.
Right, I understand.
But this is where I will agree with what Taker was saying, right? So when you look at, let me ask you a question. Let's put it this way: how many times have we seen a WWF title be vacated?
How
Not
many
many.
times?
Yes,
Never.
Well, are you talking about back in the day, or are you talking about in
back in
general?
the day, at that era, how many times have we seen the WWF title be vacated, or there was
Hmm.
just such a sloppy storyline that we had no idea what was going on?
I think I can count on my hands how many times it might have been, but like not much.
Now, how many times did WCW have a hot mess express happen, or the title was being vacated?
It was multiple.
Like when I was looking at
I
Goldberg
think
reign, right? So it's like Goldberg only had one reign. Besides Jeff Jarrett, because Jeff Jarrett had a belt 4 times in the calendar year, whoever vacated is had the most reigns. You know who vacated is? That's what we give up. We just throw away the belt. The title is vacated. No one's the champion. How is no one the champion? And then we have champions for a night, and they lose the belt the same night. Like that's sloppy. That's your champion. That's your face of the business. We're gonna keep rotating every 8 days, every day
Yeah.
potentially. The longest run was 29 days. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing? I,
Right.
I don't know if I want to work. Like, this is what I tell some of my stores when I go into stores. Put a tent on this circus. Cue the music. Like, this is not sustainable. Like, this is.
Right.
Why would I want to work in that type of environment where the plans change literally day by day?
Right. Rich King's another point to add. Um, do you think that what Taker also said was a lot of the times if there was a show for WCW, guys wouldn't show up. So sometimes you would have an event going on and your top guys are not showing up and it looks bad. And what the great Grand Slam Pooba said, he's like, hey, these guys didn't want to do the invasion, the Goldbergs, the Stings, because they was getting guaranteed money. But I'm like, dude, where's the pride? Where's the art? Like, just like for basketball, I'm sure these guys, LeBron James, if he has a chance to go against Michael Jordan he's gonna play. Forget the money. Let's just play for pride. Where's that at? You
So
know
I
what I
think we
mean?
was talking about basketball already, right? So I will compare the basketball when we had to go to the bubble. Like who
Exactly.
like you're trying to win a championship. We were not happy, we're not safe, but they still showed up, right? Because you're trying to win the championship. And I think when it comes down to like those specific characters, yeah, the money rules everything around the world. We get it. So I could offer you more money. I could offer you the same money, and you decide not to do your job. That's fine. That's all within your right. But at the same time, and this is where I also have a problem with the Goldbergs of the world. Now I haven't heard Sting talk too much. You want a retirement match? You want to be going out in honor? You want a spaceship? Nah, bro. When I needed you in 2020, 2001, where were you at? On your couch. So you wanted me to fast forward to give you all the riches in the land? That's not how it happens. Last time I checked, my name was the genie. I'm not gonna give you all these damn wishes. So when I pay it forward, I'm saying I hold a bandana, but since this was a business bandana and you needed this, it's gonna be a business decision now. That's what was. A lot of people upset that Triple H beat Sting. I wasn't upset. Where were you at 2021? We came knocking on your door. You
That
didn't want
that
to do
that,
it.
that, that was stupid, but I hate it.
Listen, but
What
there's
did
certain
you?
people I'm saying I will hold a vendetta against, but I kind of am because that's like I feel like to Easy's point, like what's stopping you? If what's driving you? So then I don't want to hear you. If the money's driving you, make it clearly be the money, right? We can't say the fans are the reasons driving you, and then you want the fans to send you off. I can't do that for you because you showed me already your true colors.
Yeah,
You
it's
showed me
true.
it's about the money.
Yeah, Invasion was an epic fail for me. Looking back, I hated it even happened. So that's my final take on that, man.
You
So
want
yeah,
to
go.
give
We can
your
come back later on to lose to Triple H over and over and over. How did it feel? Let's do a reflection. Scott Steiner, you came back to lose over and over and over again. How did it feel? Hey,
he
Mister
wanted
Cat.
he
Hey,
wanted to say he wanted to say hi. He wasn't even born when this all happened, but yeah, no, I'm with Easy. Like this event, I mean, it was supposed to be like this really really big deal for sports entertainment, and like it really wasn't. There was a lot of like mid matches, but there were gems here though. I'm not gonna sit here and say completely like everything was such a bust. Like was the main event a bust? Yeah, because it was like so many people that was missing in this invasion, right? But I sit here and look at two great matches that we got out of here, and two great matches with being Billy Kidman against X Pac. I thought that was a really great match, and the I was gonna say the coming out party for Rob Van Dam. Like I mean, there were things
Yeah,
I
I'm
did
agree with
enjoy.
that.
yeah,
I think there were things here that I did enjoy. There were things I didn't enjoy, and maybe it was a little bit more than that because there was so much more I wanted. But
yeah.
but
And where was Eric Bischoff? Or Eric Bischoff? He should have been somewhere included in all this. Maybe it
I
could have
think
been
he's
a
a
match. Him and
I
Vince.
wouldn't. But see, that's the thing. I wouldn't. You know what? Not for nothing. If you take out the ref match, I'm down for an Eric Bischoff and McMahon match. That
Yeah,
I would be more down for. Um, Especially when you can play back those old clips of when Eric Bischoff was like, he kept challenging McMahon back in the day.
yeah. Like,
I
let's
would
get
have been more for that than the ref.
yeah, or maybe a triple threat. Him, Paul Heyman, and Vince. Let's get it.
No. So here's the thing. McMahon, he might have not been the best wrestler, but he was able to kind of handle himself. And Eric Bischoff, he knows karate and everything like that. Like Eric Bischoff is like legit. So
Yeah,
I would be more that I don't know what Paul Heyman does athletically, but I wouldn't need to see him in the match. But I do agree. Like the show wasn't necessarily like the best show. But Rich King, why don't you take the floor last? What do you think about this? What's your final call?
Yeah, this is my final thought is that it could have been better, but then I honestly think about this invasion, even though we were not fans, I think it still helped with the landscape of wrestling for right after after SummerSlam, not SummerSlam, Survivor Series. I don't know if we get the Jericho run if everybody's there. I don't know if Kurt Angle becomes Kurt Angle while he is with everybody being there. So when we know what we know, I think it's there was some positive for some wrestlers, but
That's
the
fair.
others, was they chose what they chose. Would I have rather see that from an entertainment standpoint? Absolutely. But thinking about the result that we have current status today, I'm not upset with the result.
I think that's actually fair. I think, honestly, for this to be episode one of hopefully many reviews of so many old school content of wrestling, I appreciate this. I think this was a great, yes, babe. Um, I think this was a great first episode, and I enjoyed this a lot. So, with that said, this is the part where I give everyone the floor and say, "Hey, where would you, if you want to be found on social media, where can you be found? Easy. Where can you be found on this thing called social media and stuff?"
So you can follow me on my Instagram, randy.sauce, and also my company page, the_creative genius group.
Love that. I'm gonna make sure to put that in the description. Rich Kings, where can people find you? Where can the people find you, sir?
They
Yes.
can find him
You can
disappearing.
you can find him here on the Big Pop Theory podcast because I know this is not the only episode, and I hope to have more of you on here. Easy, I think you did a fantastic job, by the way. So
Thank you.
good job, sir, on being it. See,
Rich
look,
Kings, where can we find you?
Right where he just said on the Big Pop Theory podcast. That's where you can find me.
Gotcha.
yes, and same for me here. You can find me on the Big Pop Theory podcast. I'm also on Unpopular Review. I review the NXT Review Show. So I do geek news on a Sunday. We talk about things that is geeky, and we just talk about it a little bit. So please join me for that. Why are you inviting me?
I do want to shout out a WCW legend right here who should have also probably been an Invasion. I don't
I
know.
would have loved if Dennis Rodman was there.
Yes.
I would have been a big fan. Matter of fact, I wouldn't have him end the 5-on-5, but I'd have him just interfere.
Yeah, I have him. I have him in a match with somebody. I don't know who, but I have him in a match somewhere.
But it would have been. There was so many things that could have been so much better on this card. But like, it is what it is. It happened, and I think it was beneficial for a lot of people who might have never been on this card. So someone like Sean O'Hare and Sean Stasiak and Chuck Palumbo, because these were more of the newer guys in WCW. Um, maybe there's some more names I'm missing out here because I did like something that Rich King said where he was like, "Yeah, but if we had all these people, maybe we don't get this and we don't get that." And I think Jericho was somebody benefiting from this because when you said that, I thought about him like, yeah, I don't know if he gets that run in October of 2001 if we have all these other names because there were a lot of names that if you're being honest there's a lot of names that we said that's going to be higher than a lot of people that we and I was a Jericho guy. Rich King, you know this for a fact. Like I was a Jericho guy over Rock, and I used to always never understand how the Rock always beat my man Jericho. But like, yeah, I do think that what you're saying, I think that's a fair point. But with that said, that's really the episode. We're hoping to do more. We hope to have a SummerSlam. Yes, baby. Yes, yes. Please sit right there. We're hoping to have a SummerSlam review. I'll talk to you guys off air, and we'll figure out what is the what SummerSlam we should review. And with that said, we thank you guys. Follow the Big Pop Theory podcast. We have a Instagram. We have a Twitter. So follow at the Big Pop Theory Podcast on Instagram, the Big Pop underscore on Twitter. We have a YouTube, obviously, because you're watching us on YouTube, and we have a Gmail. So like, if you have any kind of idea of like, hey, it would be cool if you guys review this for old school content, hit us up at the Big Pop Theory Podcast at gmail.com. We thank you guys. I thank you gentlemen here, and we'll be back more for more old school content. So everyone just throw the peace sign up. That's cool.
Peace.
There we
Thank you
go.
guys.
That's
I appreciate you having me, man. Had fun.
well. Well, I'm glad, and we're going to talk about it because I'm going to hit this end. I'm going to end this podcast.
Okay.